Hi, this is Jacqueline here with the GROW program. GROW means greatness reached over oppression through wisdom. And what do you mean, oppression, minister? Well, oppression is what's going on in the community, what you see happening as a result of police brutality, racism, injustice, the result of the drugs that have came into the community. I don't know what your area looks like, but in my area, down here in East St. Louis, don't look too good. Don't look too hot, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build up the community. And how we build up the community, because they've tried to put a few stores here and a few stores there. Don't nothing last, because we have to change the mindset of the people. We have to get them to thinking that, hey, there's better for me. Once I change myself, I have to change my ways. I have to change my thinking. I have to change my heart, the way I think. Some people hate themselves. There's some people out there that truly hate themselves, but they live it and they going on, but they hate themselves, because they hate what they did in the past. They never got over what they did. They hate the system. They hate what happened. If you went to jail, get over it. Forgive yourself. If you didn't do it, we're going to work on that. But in the meantime, you can't just be oppressed because of that. You can't, and oppressed is you just upset, and you just hate, and you just holding on to grudges and holding on to hate. Because when you hold on to that stuff, it festers and it eats at you. Then when it festers and eats at you, you take it out. And you take it out. You can take it out on your wife, your kids, your community, anything. People think it's a quick, fast way to get money to sell drugs. Now, if marijuana is legal in your state and that's what you do, then that's fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this illegal stuff and alcohol, which should be illegal, because alcohol is mind altering. You think you can sit back and enjoy a glass of wine and relax. No, alcohol is mind altering. And what it does, it gets you to thinking a different way. You may see something nice, and but it ain't nice to you. So it just makes you angry and hostile, and you need to leave that alone, because alcohol does not work with the GROW program. It just don't. And cocaine don't either. And hate and evilness and spite and lying and cheating and getting over. We're going to check off all those things because you can't hold on to none of that while you're in this program. If you don't let it go, it ain't going to work. I'm telling you. I'm an example. And I'm going to tell you, I had to really go through a true transformation. I was holding on to secrets and stuff had to come out. If you holding on to secret from your husband or your wife, it's got to come out. It's got to. It's just got to come out. Oh gosh, this is hard. Oh, help me, spirits. You got to be truthful. You got to be truthful, because see, now if you guys have agreement where they say, what's in the past is in the past, you leave that there. I don't care what happened in your past and all that. Then that's different. No, you ain't got to talk about that stuff. But long as, you are okay in your relationship with you and your husband, you and your spouse are at, and you ain't been cheating on him and he ain't been cheating on you. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. Because things like that will come out. I'm telling you. If you want to hold on to those secrets, then you need to get in on the movement part of it, because you ain't trying to, I'm gonna tell you, you need to be right. You just need to be right, because what I'm trying to do is build well and change our way of thinking about ourselves and each other. Because we oppressing ourselves too. We not just oppressing the community and one another, but we can oppress ourselves. By holding on to that hate and that grudge. That's why I'm telling you, get your life right. You can't hold on to that stuff. You just can't do it. So I want to begin to build in the community. And begin to adapt our own traditions and customs that we were doing in Africa. There's a few people here in the United States know about it. There's a few people know that in Africa they were not practicing Christianity. They prayed to the ancestors who went to God on their behalf. Now, if these people were living right and doing right, then their prayers were answered. They got what they wanted, and I'm a living example of that. I'm a true living example of that. Some stuff getting ready to manifest in my life. This grow movement is getting ready to grow. It can't do nothing but grow. It's getting ready to grow, and the ancestors have confirmed this to me, that this is getting ready to grow. It's been 400 years later, and God said his people gonna come out with substance. So we getting ready to come out with substance. But there are those who are in this world. They not the ones that are of this world. They in this world and they like it. So those are the rebels. Those are going to be the ones who are going to be left behind. And I'm sorry, you're going to be left behind. And when we go on to glory, you're going to be left behind there too. Because I can't really tell you what's going to happen to you there. You ain't going to no lake of fire. It ain't no devil. You ain't going to no lake of fire. What it is, we got opposite spiritual forces going on here. You got good and you got evil, good and bad. It's always been going on. It ain't no one single devil. It ain't no one devil that's everywhere. It's just forces that's evil. And so what you got to do is you got to change your ways. And then that way you begin to step in the honor of God and living in honor to your ancestors. It's just like you're going to live your life just like God is right there beside you every day. Everything you do, God watching, he right there. You can't do nothing. He right there. So that's what the ancestors, our glorified ancestors, are watching over us right now. They are the ones who can manifest things in our life because God gives them the ability to do so. If you don't believe me, go read what they were doing in South Africa before the ships came in, before they started kidnapping people. Look it up for yourself if you don't believe Mr. Truth. They adapted Christianity when they got here. We're not from this country. We are not from the United States. We were born here, but our ancestors were not from here. So just think about if you were never ever kidnapped. If they never got kidnapped from over there, you still be over there doing whatever, living a life of glory that God had intended, but he wrote in his word right here. It's in the word in Exodus. My people going to go away Genesis. My people going to go away for 400 years. 400 years and they're going to be afflicted. And I will judge them who afflicted them, and they are going to come out with substance. If you don't believe me, read it. It's in Genesis. Okay, so I'm telling you what's happening. So you either going to be left behind or you're going to get on board. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you want to believe that Christ died on the cross for your sins, that's fine. Because I believe it too. I believe that. I do. I believe Christ died on the cross for my sins. And I'm forever grateful. But also, I believe that I can pray through my ancestors to reach God. Because that's what is working in my life right now. I did Christianity for 50-some years. Now, this is what, since I've been living in this haunted house, and other spirits and the good spirits telling me not to be afraid of the bad spirits. So I'm telling you what's real. You can either believe me and get on board, or you can be left behind and watch what happens. So, that's all I got to say. I want to tell that because I'm very excited. I get real excited when it gets time to tell this word. My words come out fast, and I just feel energized. It's early in the morning. I feel energized. I'm ready for the day. I'm ready for, what the spirits are about to bring. All I see is good things. That's all I see is good things, because that's what's been manifesting in my life is good things, And I'm gonna tell you, when I talk, you got to bear with me, because see, really, you got to follow me on all the videos, because when I talk about this house, it's a quiet place. See, I don't work no more. I used to work. I used to drive. I worked for all my life. Since I was 14 years old, I've worked. And so God put me in a quiet place, and that's his house, where I couldn't do nothing but sit here and be quiet and listen and obey, and God will put you in a quiet place, where you have to sit and listen and obey. It could be jail, could be an illness, it could be anything where you can't do nothing but sit and listen and be quiet. That's why people who go to jail come out knowing God. They study. They got time. They got time to sit and be quiet and listen. That was the first quiet place God put me in, and then He put me in this house. And it's a story. It really is. It's a story, and it's been a journey, and an incredible journey. And I was hard-headed for a long time. I was hard-headed, even after I ministered on the radio and stuff. I stopped ministering, and fell off and got hard-headed, and I but I knew I was going to get back in ministering. I knew that was going to happen. I didn't know how. I didn't expect it to happen like this. I really didn't. But at the time when I was ministering on the radio, God spoke to me and told me that it was going to be a men's ministry. Men were going to be in on it too. You're going to have you're going to have help. You're going to have a helpmate, your husband. So that's when I met my husband. But then He told me that I ain't got to dress like, old, I ain't gonna say that. But I ain't got to dress like, homely looking, And that's how I used to dress. And, I used to long dresses, long, shrouded all up and stuff, because that's what the church taught us. But we don't have to dress like that. If you look at ancient South African queens, they're beautiful. They ain't shrouded all up, dressed tied up and all this, they're not like that. But now when they go to the motherland, Mecca, yes, they're shrouded up, and it gets deep. It gets real deep, and we will get into that. We will get into all of that, because she had put that on my spirit, Mecca. Man, I'm like, Mecca, what's Mecca? And then I looked it up, So we'll get into all that. And but I want you to think about growing. I want you to think about your mind. I want you to think about your mindset. Now, like I told you before, you won't go about it like God is standing here, right here with you. Now if God was there, you wouldn't do that. Or okay, like we talk about our ancestors, because they always with us. So, if you have a deceased ancestor who you love and who you were very close to, that's who's looking out for you. That's who it is. But it could be somebody down the line. Somebody down the line you don't even know. It could be 2 or 3. We don't know. But I'm telling you, it is what it is. I'm telling you. If you don't believe me, you need to do your research and then come back, and then we can, pick up from there. But I'm telling you what's real and what's true. That's what they were doing before they were kidnapped. And, and then, but you can incorporate that. I'm not telling you to leave Christianity. I'm not telling you to do away with Christmas. I talk about all that in my other videos. So, you have to go with your spirituality. That's what this is all about. It's about you. You go with your own spirituality. Don't go with what I'm going with. As far as, you got to be right. You got to do right. You got to follow how the scripture is in the Bible. Don't do away with the Bible. You got to follow how the scripture is. And what, where you are being led to, how it leads in you in your life, because you're going to be led. You are going to be led. The scripture's going you before you open the Bible, you close your eyes, you talk to your ancestors, you open your hands, and you pray. You don't have to get on your knees and do all of that and be down there forever. You just ask for guidance, ask for wisdom, ask them to come in your life, order your steps. Ask them, tell them you want to live in honor to God, and make them proud. However you want to talk to them, just talk to them, in an honorable way, honorably, just as honorably as if they were here on earth, or as if, you were speaking to God, because it's the same thing. Basically, we all are of God. And, when you think about your deceased relative, when you think about them, the soul does not die. The soul is energy. It don't die. The body decays, but it don't die. You can go out there to that grave site. That's where their body's at. But they're not there. They're not there. I'm gonna tell you a story real quick. I don't like to keep these videos very long, but I'm gonna tell you this story real quick. When my brother passed, I was on the highway. I had my 2 babies in the back seat. I was on the highway. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm coming from Florida trying to get back to Illinois because he on life support. So I'm driving. And thank you, spirits. I'm driving. I couldn't get no signal on the radio, so the radio was off. The kids sleep. It's nobody in the car but me and the kids. So all of a sudden, 2 o'clock in the morning, I hear my brother say, "I'm all right, big sis." And I look, because it was just that clear. So by the time I got back to Illinois, he was gone. So a week later, now I don't know my way around. I've been gone from Illinois, many years. I had been gone, just gone. And because I just knew what was going to happen. I knew where it was headed. So I just took off and left when I was 19. And so I didn't know my way around nowhere. So like about a week later, I decided I was going to just come on back. So I had told, my sister was watching the kids. I was going to head back to Florida by myself to try to get things together. And so I'm on the highway, hit 64, headed out. And, oh Lord, all of a sudden, I'm at the cemetery where my brother passed away. Where my brother buried at. The souls don't leave right away. They don't leave right away. You're going to notice, you'll see something. They don't leave right away. I'm at the cemetery. All the flowers, everything is standing around. Now, I don't know how I got to that cemetery to this day, because I went with the funeral procession, but I ain't never been to that cemetery before in my life. And you have to go in, it's twists and turns and all that to get to it. So I'm at the cemetery. I'm there standing where the flowers are standing up, and everything is standing up. Everything's standing up. Everything. Ain't no wind. Off in the distance, I could see some coyotes, wolves or whatever's out there. But I wasn't scared. And I'm standing there. And all of a sudden, I just, I'm getting chills right now thinking about it. All of a sudden, I just start crying. Tears start coming out down my face. I don't know, I miss my brother. Tears coming down my face. All of a sudden, I just screamed out. Why? Loud as I could. Why? All the flowers fell over. Everything fell over. That's when the spirit left. That's when he left. So I'm telling you, the souls, they are around us. They are around us. They give us guidance. They give us wisdom. I believe that his soul is with my mother. I really, truly do believe that. I believe that because, I be crying, but mama be all right. I'm still crying. But, mama, she okay. Mama okay. She really is. I call her and she'll help me. Because I believe he's there comforting her. He's comforting her. He may not be there where she can see him, but he's comforting her. So I want to just, thank you, spirits. I just want to put that out there for you, because it's real. It's real. The way we've been going about it, people, is wrong. Pastor, if you listening, you need to incorporate the GROW program into your church. I tell you how to do it. You need to incorporate the GROW program in your church. I ain't going to charge you nothing, because I want to see my community rise up. That's the goal I want. See the ancestors, they going to look out for me. I want to see my community rise up. That's what I want. That's my goal. I ain't got no personal agenda here. I already know. They already told me what's finna manifest. I done wrote it down. What's gonna manifest for me. So I got proof for later on. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I just want y'all to get it together. It's time. We need to stop oppressing one another. The chains are off. They gone. Them chains, we done broke them chains. Now we got to break the chains that's got us tied up in here, in our mind, enslaved with these drugs, this alcohol, this cocaine, this heroin, this lifestyle, cheating, lying, getting over, conniving, stealing, robbing, thieving, lying. We got to be rid of all that. Grudges, hangovers, hang-ups, grudges, all of that. Because you got more grudges on top of grudges. You got all that. All of that's mixed up in there. You got to forgive. Just like when you get in the shower, wash all that stuff off of you. Just like you wash the dirt off of you. Wash all up in your hair, your face, scrub your face. Get all that off of you. And begin to forgive and to love. Begin to change your mind. To begin to build wealth in your community. Buy up some property. Buy up some of these tax sales. Put your relatives in the house. Help them out. Lift them up. Because that's what it's all about. Growing. Let's grow.